Hey there, welcome back to the channel. What terrifies people the most is not your anger, it's your silence. Because silence means they can no longer read you, they can no longer reach you, and they can no longer control you. It means you've detached. You've taken your power back. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding their ego. When you stop explaining, you stop giving them the weapon they've used against you. Your silence becomes the wall they can't climb, the mirror that reflects their own weakness. They called you cold, distant, heartless. But the truth is, you just got tired of being drained by people who only cared when they could control you. You realized that peace is not found in loud reactions, but in quiet restraint. You finally understood that silence is not weakness, it's emotional mastery. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Your silence is that realization tour. About ignoring people to be cruel. It's about protecting your energy from those who misuse it. It's about refusing to explain yourself to those who already decided not to understand you. When you stay silent, you become unpredictable. And nothing scares manipulators more than someone who no longer reacts. So today, we're going to dive deep into the power of silence, how it exposes fake intentions, ends manipulation, and puts you back in control of your own life. Because when you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, no one can control you again. Before we begin, I want you to drop this powerful affirmation in the comments right now. My silence speaks louder than their control. Now, let's begin. Number 1, silence breaks their control. People lose their power over you the moment you stop reacting. Control only exists when you play their game. They push your buttons because they know your emotions are their favorite tool. Argue, defend, or justify. You're feeding their need for control, but when you go silent, everything shifts. They lose the power they once had because silence is unpredictable. It gives them nothing to manipulate. Epictetus said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. That's the truth. The moment you get angry, they win. The moment you stay calm, you win. Silence takes back the power they thought they owned. It says, "You no longer get to decide how I feel." When you stop reacting, they have no clue what's going on inside your mind. That uncertainty drives them crazy. They'll test you harder, push further, hoping to trigger something. But you don't flinch. You don't explain. You don't chase because you've realized that silence is not avoidance. It's strategy. Your silence forces them to confront their own behavior. It shows them how loud their actions truly are when you're for them. And deep down, it makes them realize that the control they once had over you was an illusion. That's how you win. Not by shouting louder, but by saying nothing at all. The next time someone tries to get a reaction out of you, pause. Take a breath. Remember, silence is not weakness. It's discipline. Walk away, smile, and let your peace be the loudest message you send. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't need to respond. My silence is enough. Number 2, silence makes them face themselves. When you go silent, you hold up a mirror they can't look away from because for the first time, they're forced to sit with their own reflection. The one you used to shield them from with your explanations, your forgiveness, your endless effort to make peace. But now, there's no more conversation to distract them, no words to twist, no emotions to feed on, just silence and the echo of their own actions. You see, silence doesn't just NC. Communication. It ends comfort. People who once controlled you through guilt, attention, or manipulation begin to feel the emptiness of their own behavior. They start realizing that maybe they went too far, that maybe you were the one holding the connection together. And that realization burns because silence is not passive, it's powerful. It exposes truth without you having to lift a single word. Seneca once wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Your silence is that delay. The space between your old emotional reaction and your new emotional strength. It gives you clarity, and it gives them consequence. They can't run from what they've done because there's no noise left to hide behind. Your silence becomes the teacher they never expected, and it teaches better than any argument ever could. When they no longer hear from you, they begin to question themselves. They replay moments. They wonder if they went too far. They start to miss the sound of your V. Care, all the things they once took for granted. And in that space, the roles reverse. The power shifts. The one who chased control is now the one who's haunted by it. Your silence doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them see you. It reminds them that your presence was not but privilege to abuse. It was a gift they should have protected. The next time you feel tempted to explain your silence, stop. Don't send that message. Don't break your peace to ease their guilt. Let them sit in the silence they created. That discomfort, that's accountability. Number 3, silence breaks their control. When you stop reacting, you destroy the power they once held over you. People who crave control feed on your emotions, your anger, your confusion, your need to be understood. The moment you go quiet, you take away their favorite weapon, your reaction. Because silence says, you don't get to control how I feel anymore. And that's when the game changes forever. They expay. Drama. They expected tears. They expected you to chase them, to prove your worth, to explain your side one more time. But when you didn't, when you simply stopped responding, that silence hit harder than any words ever could, because now they're not in control. You are. Remember the Stoic teaching of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your silence is the reaction that shows true mastery. You're no longer dancing to the rhythm of their manipulation. You've reclaimed your peace, your dignity, and your emotional freedom. That silence they once mocked, now it terrifies them because it means you're not emotionally available to be used anymore. When you no longer respond to their guilt trips or baiting messages, you teach them that their chaos no longer shakes you. You show them that you've risen above the noise, you've outgrown their games, and that realization, it's their loss, not yours, because nothing breaks a contro. Even subtle provocations, anything to make you speak again. But every time you stay silent, you make them smaller. You take back more of yourself. You rebuild your boundaries brick by brick without a word spoken. When they try to bait you into reacting, pause, breathe. Remember, Every word you say gives them power, but every silence gives you peace. Stop responding, their character decides what happens next. A genuine person will respect your space. A manipulator will panic, attack, or twist the story. And that's how you know who deserves your energy and who never did. They'll say things like, "You've changed," or "You're acting cold." But what they're really saying is, "You're no longer under my control." Your silence holds up a mirror they can't stand to look into, because it shows them their dependency on your reactions, your forgiveness, your emotional energy. They miss your presence, not because they loved you, but because they love the control they. Grounded in your stillness. That's where your strength lives. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is not weakness, it's mastery. Number 4, silence exposes their true character. When you go silent, you don't just reclaim your power, you reveal who they truly are. Because silence forces truth to the surface. When the noise stops, when your attention disappears, their mask starts to slip. You start to see what was real and what was manipulation. They can't stand silence because silence doesn't feed their ego. It doesn't stroke their need for control. When you stop talking, they start showing their true colors. Some will get angry, some will play the victim, others will suddenly pretend to care. But every reaction you see after your silence, that's the truth they tried to hide from you. The Stoics taught, character is fate. When you're realizing they've lost control, they'll test you, they'll poke at your silence, they'll send mess. You don't need to argue, prove, or defend yourself. Their actions after your silence say everything you need to know. If they respect your peace, they're growing too. But if they lash out, spread lies, or try to guilt you, they're exposing themselves for what they always were: fragile, without control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." That means when they choose chaos, you choose calm. When they choose ego, you choose grace. When they choose manipulation, you choose distance. Your silence isn't about punishing them. It's about freeing yourself. Watch how they act when you stop responding. That's when you'll see everything clearly. Don't chase clarification. Observe behavior. The truth always reveals itself in silence. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence reveals truth. I see everything. Now, number 5, silence makes them face themselves. When you go silent, you force them to sit in a room with the one person they've been running from, themselves. That's why your silence feels louder than any words you could ever say. It doesn't just take away your voice. It takes away their distraction, their illusion of power, and the comfort of blaming you for everything. Suddenly, there's nothing left for them to hide behind but their own reflection. Most people don't fear being alone. They fear what they'll discover about themselves when there's no one else to project onto. They fear realizing how deeply they took you for granted. They fear seeing the damage their ego caused. Your silence becomes their mirror, reflecting back every lie they told, every manipulation they justified, every moment they failed to value you. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what happens to them in your absence. Their mind becomes their punishment. Complicit. By staying silent, you remove their access to your emotions. You stop feeding their control. You rise above their chaos. And in doing so, you teach them the most painful truth of all, that peace cannot be manipulated. Every time you want to break your silence, pause and remember. They need to face themselves. Don't interrupt their lesson. Performed the injury. Your silence embodies that truth. You're not stooping to their level. You're not chasing, explaining, or defending. You've stepped into a higher space, one where you no longer respond to chaos. You rise above it. Silence is not weakness. It's emotional mastery. It's the ability to stand firm when your ego screams to speak. It's the art of choosing peace over reaction. When you stay silent, you show them something terrifying, that they no longer control your emotions. They expected you to beg, to fight, to justify yourself. Instead, they got calm. They got distance. They got the version of you that no longer needs validation or closure. And that's when they realize the truth. Your silence is proof that they never truly had power over you. They'll start to reach out in small ways. They'll test the waters, send subtle messages, maybe even provoke you just to get a reaction. But the more you stay silent, the louder your strength becomes. In the space you've created, because silence gives them nothing to manipulate. You've shifted the dynamic entirely from their control to your command. Seneca said, "He who has great power should use it lightly." That's what your silence is, light power. You're not trying to hurt them. You're simply showing them that you can exist beautifully, completely without them. You're living proof that peace is louder than conflict, and self-respect speaks louder than begging ever could. Every moment you stay quiet, you reinforce your strength. You teach them that you're not an option they can play with. You're a boundary they can't cross. And as that realization sinks in, they start to crumble internally, because they finally see what you've known all along. That your silence was never emptiness, it was power. Pure, unshakable, undeniable power. Every time you feel the urge to explain or defend yourself, remind your mind, I don't owe them my energy. Sit back. Breathe. Love. Speaking. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is power. My calm is control. I speak by saying nothing. Number 7. Silence exposes their true character. Silence doesn't just protect your peace. It reveals who they really are. When you stop talking, stop explaining, stop giving them emotional access, something powerful happens. The mask slips. You finally see the truth of their character. Because silence is the great reveler. It exposes intentions. It unmasks manipulation. It shows you who values you and who only valued control. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself." When you go silent, you create those very circumstances that test people. The ones who truly care will respect your space. They'll reflect. They'll approach with humility. But the ones who only fed off your energy will become irritated, angry, and restless. They'll start projecting guilt, blame, or confusion, but because they can no longer feed on your reactions. Your silence forces them to confront what they've been avoiding, their own behavior. It acts like a mirror that reflects every word they said, every action they took, every moment they tried to control or diminish you. And that reflection burns. It makes them question themselves. It shakes their confidence because suddenly you're not the emotional punching bag they once relied on. You're gone. And what's left is their own emptiness echoing back at them. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Your silence proves that truth. You're no longer responding to their chaos. You're mastering your own peace. You're not chasing explanations or apologies anymore because you've learned something deeper. You don't need closure from someone who caused the confusion. You give yourself closure by choosing peace over noise. When you stop feeding the wondering why you're not reaching out, why you stopped caring, why your energy feels out of reach. Your silence starts whispering the truth they tried to ignore, that you were never the problem. You were the peace. They may scroll through your old messages. They may watch your stories quietly, hoping for a sign that you still care. But deep down, they know. Your silence means you've moved beyond their reach. It means you've grown into someone who no longer needs their validation, approval, or explanation. And that realization burns more than any confrontation ever could. You see, silence doesn't just make them miss you. It makes them meet themselves. It forces them to feel the void they created by breaking something real. And that's why your stillness is so powerful, because it's not revenge. It's reflection. You're not punishing them. You're allowing life to teach them what you no longer need to explain. Epictetus once said, "If someone can provoke you, know who they are without your attention to sustain them." Some will panic. Some will try to bait you. Some will disappear completely because they can't survive without control. But that's the gift of silence. It filters your world. It removes those who never had real intentions and exposes those who did. Your silence is a test, and not everyone passes it. But that's okay, because you're not looking for people who can handle your attention. You're looking for people who can respect your peace. The next time someone reacts negatively to your silence, don't explain it. Watch, observe. Their reaction will tell you everything you need to know about their heart. Number 8, silence is your final power move. Silence isn't weakness. It's not retreat. It's not surrender. Silence is your declaration of strength. The final power move that tells the world, I no longer engage with anything beneath my peace. When you go silent, you step out of the battlefield of petty arguments, manipulative games. You rise above it all, not because you lost, but because you finally understand your energy is sacred. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And nothing makes you freer than choosing silence when chaos demands your voice. Your silence doesn't mean you don't have something to say. It means you've said enough. It means you've outgrown the need to prove your worth, defend your decisions, or beg for respect. You've realized that real power doesn't war. It simply exists, unbothered, calm, untouchable. When they can no longer control you through emotion, when your reactions no longer feed their ego, when your peace becomes louder than their drama, that's when you win. Because silence kills control. It confuses manipulators. It dismantles their hold on you without a single word. You're not reacting anymore. You're observing. You're not explaining. You're deciding. You're not arguing. You're evolving. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge, enemy." Your silence embodies that truth. You don't respond with bitterness or rage. You respond with stillness. You don't mirror their chaos. You anchor yourself in calmness. You show them through your composure that they no longer have access to your mind. your peace, or your power. And that realization for them is devastating because control dies in the absence of reaction. Every time you choose silence instead of engaging, you build more inner strength. You take back the power they once stole through manipulation and conflict. You stand taller, think clearer, and move smarter. Silence becomes your armor, protecting your heart, your focus, and your purpose. It's not just a reaction, it's a strategy. It's how you win without fighting. Your silence teaches people how to treat you. It tells them that if they can't come with peace, they shouldn't come at all. It sets a boundary so powerful that even those who once underestimated you begin to feel your absence appreciated your presence. Don't explain your silence. Don't justify it. Let it speak for itself. Detach emotionally. Stay calm and let time reveal the truth. This is the moment you take it all in and realize the truth. Your silence is not empty. Your silence is not weakness. Your silence is power. Every second you resist the urge to explain, defend, or chase, you grow stronger. Every moment you stay calm while others panic, you reclaim a piece of yourself that they never deserved to hold. You are untouchable because you understand the ultimate law of control. It exists only where you allow it. Remember the words of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You've chosen to react with wisdom, with composure, with silence that carries weight heavier than any argument. You've chosen to rise above drama, to prioritize your peace, and to let time reveal the lessons that words could never teach. Now, take a deep breath and feel that freedom. That's your power. That's your victory. They wanted control over you, over your mind, over your peace, but you didn't give it to them. You didn't beg. You didn't argue. You didn't lower yourself. You stayed silent. And in that silence, you've taken back everything they thought they could manipulate. This is your call to action. Stand firm. Protect your energy. Guard your peace. Use every tool in your arsenal. Silence, self-respect, self-love to live your life fully and fiercely. Walk forward, knowing that the person you are now is stronger, wiser, and untouchable. The moment you embrace this, you no longer live to react. You live to thrive. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. I own my silence. I control my power. I am untouchable. Let it sink in. Let it remind you daily that your peace is your strongest weapon. If this message resonates, hit that subscribe button and join a community of people committed to self-mastery. Unwavering confidence. Remember, power isn't given, it's claimed, and you've just learned the ultimate way to claim yours. Your silence has won. Your life is now yours to lead.